Okay, for one last time, I'm Cliff Hill from Ectron. Ectron, a provider of a web content management platform, is used by these wonderful brands here as well as many others. So if you are interested in the technology side of content, come and see us at the back. So the presentation you've all been waiting for these 3 days, the crescendo, is Faye Hawkins, MD of First Base, and why organisations struggle to implement content marketing and what to do about it.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the rousing intro. I appreciate I'm the very last person of a 3-day conference, so thank you very much for maintaining your interest up to this point. You'll see from the title of this presentation, perhaps it's a little bit different to some of the things that you will have heard earlier today. You're all here because content marketing is the big new thing. We all understand that content is the way that we're really going to be able to differentiate ourselves, develop our marketing strategies, engage our audiences. But it doesn't come without its challenges. Now, you'll all be at different stages of adoption, different stages of understanding perhaps, and you'll have your own challenges within the organisations that you work for. So what we wanted to do today was really kind of make you feel better about life, I think, that it isn't all plain sailing. We know that because we're an agency that works with brands that are looking to adopt content marketing, and it isn't an overnight thing. So we thought we'd share with you some of the challenges and the common kind of bumps in the road that we come across. And it's taken from client experience, but also conversations that we have with organisations that are looking to do content marketing and are perhaps at that kind of convince me stage, so the common things that come up. And then obviously just to help with the situations, not to tell you the problems, but to give you an indication of how we can possibly go about solving those as well. So I'm not going to do the full pitch, but just so that you've got a rough idea of who on earth I am standing at the front here. My name's Faye Hawkins. I'm the MD of First Base, and we are a content marketing agency. So we specialise in strategy, we specialise in developing content. We work in the B2B sector, but I'm sure there are probably representatives here from the consumer world, and the same principles apply. So please, take what I say in context of your own organisation. We are a small agency and we're new. You'll all know that content marketing, the principles of it, the discipline of it, really familiar to everybody who's worked in digital and in marketing. But the ethos is slightly different, and that's where we come from. So before we get into it, I've tried to keep it mercifully short for you. There are only 5 points, but before we get onto 5 points, just one thing. I think we need a little bit of a reality check. And as I was saying, there is quite a lot of hype around content marketing at the moment that you'll all be aware of, and perhaps it's something that you're instigating for yourself. It could be something that you're being asked to look at. Obviously, I'm an advocate. I'm sold. I think content marketing is really the way forward for brands if we're looking to do things differently, if we're going to approach a modern marketing agenda. But that said, it's not a case of everybody having a big hug and going, yeah, great, let's do it. You really have to understand what it means for your organisation. You have to understand what's achievable, and you need to set out a roadmap. It's not something that happens overnight, so you need a long-term approach. I just wanted to give you some insights as to the things that we've kind of learned along the road. So, challenge number 1. This is kind of 101 for content marketing, and it just goes to show that the 2 words don't necessarily mean the same thing to everybody. I'm sure if you've sat here long enough over the last 3 days, you'll probably have had maybe 40 different perspectives on what content marketing is, and the finer points of whether it's an infographic or a Google keyword that we should be really worried about here. But actually, the principle is something that needs to be properly understood. And just because you've got content and you've got marketing does not mean that you do content marketing. It's not a linear equation in that way. And the difference is, content is almost the vehicle. It's what you put together to inform, to engage. It can be any different kind of format. It can be any different type of length, design, etc., etc. But content marketing is what is the purpose for that content? What is it that you're trying to do? And actually, if you don't have a buyer journey, if you don't have a strategy, if you don't know exactly what that content is aiming to do and what its purpose is, it's just content. It's not content marketing. So is it a big deal? Yes, it is a big deal, but you need to understand that there is a difference. It's not the box that you fill in an email that's got the 50 words and the call to action on the side. That's just content. So content marketing is really, it's a thought process and it's a strategy, and it's a principle for how you do your marketing, and it changes everything. So challenge number 2. I'm sure there'll be a few people that resonate with this. You'll be aware, of course, that if you're looking to adopt a content marketing strategy, that could mean a fair bit of change. It means that we're not saying anymore that we're looking to use marketing as a way to sell. What we're looking to do is use content marketing as a way to encourage people to buy. And they're very different things. You're starting from a different perspective. And yet we're in the reality of we have been doing marketing for years, and actually it still works. There's nothing wrong with doing outbound marketing. There's nothing wrong with doing inbound marketing. It's really the strategy that connects it and the principles of what you're trying to achieve and how you do that for the long term that set content marketing apart. So you're probably asking yourself this question and thinking, I'm still getting leads. Why do I need to make life really hard for myself? Can't I just create some content and do things slightly differently and hope for the best? And yes, you can, and that will get you, the results that you're looking for. But it's common knowledge that outbound email marketing in particular, conversion rates are dropping, and you'll have your database. Perhaps you've got 15,000 contacts, and 0.1% conversion gives you those 20 leads you've got to hand over to sales, and that's great because no one's going to really complain about that. But what about the 14,980 people who are in your database who are getting bored with all this email, who are not necessarily going on a journey with you, who are just people who are deleting? So you have to kind of think ahead. And really the principle is you can continue to do what you do, but it needs to fit inside a bigger framework. You need to think about, it's not just email because that's the tactic that I know that works. It's why am I sending this email to these people at this time, and what is it that I want them to do? And actually what you don't want them to do is buy something straight away. You're looking to nurture those people. So email is appropriate when you know them, when you know where they are in the buyer journey, and when you know what content you've already got that's going to enable them to get to the next stage. You're not looking for them to go, thank you very much, I'm in the 0.1% of people that actually is ready to buy something today about this exact thing that you've sent me, and please take my credit card details. The chances of that happening, just on a probability level, are slim. So you have to think about email and outbound in a different way, and that's where it fits in the bigger context of a content marketing strategy. Challenge number 3. This is really the crux of content marketing that you have to understand if you're thinking about adopting it from a strategic standpoint. Marketing has, since its inception, really been about selling. It's about selling products, it's about selling services. And that's what we've all kind of grown up understanding and building strategies and becoming experts in. But it's not about that anymore. It's about helping people to buy. And the game has changed. I mean, here we are at the Digital Marketing Show, and buyers' behaviour is not as it was. The internet changed everything. People aren't looking to be sold to anymore. They're tuning out from marketing messages. They're certainly tuning out from email. People don't want to take your calls anymore. You have to find a different way to actually engage them with your brand. So this is the top of the funnel. You might have 15,000 contacts in your database, but actually there's probably 100,000 that you don't yet know. Those unknown suspects, and how are you connecting with them? Within the framework of a content marketing strategy, the same content that you're using for your database right now can be repurposed, repackaged, and delivered in a format that's relevant for people you don't yet know. So if you start to kind of think more broadly, and I know that within marketing people have very kind of definite, specific job functions, and the lines of crossover between digital marketing or demand generation or PR or social very often don't go together. But this is the challenge for content marketing. It's about connecting the dots so that the experience delivers something according to how buyers want to consume it. And if we can do that, what we will then do is enable people to buy from us rather than keep trying to sell. So that's kind of the fundamental difference. All those people who aren't ready to buy, you're probably covering off through some PPC, getting them through to your website. But that content that you're using there can be optimized, made more efficient, used across numerous different parts of the program. So a lot of content marketing benefits are actually about optimization and efficiency, but you have to spend more time and more effort on the strategy, and then you'll start to see how it kind of comes together. Number 4 here. Now, this is something that we find pretty much with every client that we work with when we're doing true content marketing, when we're doing it at a strategic level and we're working quite high up in the organization. It is a big deal. It's a big job. You know, if you've got an organization that has been structured in the same way for the last several years, it's a cultural change as well. It's a mindset change about not looking to sell anymore. It's about being more collaborative and understanding the other functions of marketing within your organization. So it is quite a big shift, and it's not something that you can be taken lightly. Content marketing as a strategy isn't something that you flick the switch and away you go. You have to put all the pieces in place, and there are some essentials that you need in order to create a great content strategy. So you've probably heard quite a bit about, what are the right kinds of content types and tone and format, and that's all important, and how do you get your message across? But actually, you need some other essentials as well. You've got to have a website that performs, that allows you to develop that content journey, that allows you to track it, allows you to analyze it in the right way. You probably need some marketing automation that's going to help you to do that, particularly if you're working at scale. And you need to have scorecards in place so that you can understand what interactions have actually happened and what does that mean. Because just because stuff is happening, it's not about volume anymore. It's about individual interconnections with you, the history of them, and how does that work from an organizational standpoint? At what point should we be handing that over to sales? So you've got to have some tools in place. Having great content without some of those kind of supporting infrastructure tools only takes you so far. It gets people interested. It's probably going to get you more hits on the website, but that's only half the job. You then have to build them into your nurture program, make sure that you've got content that can continue that journey. So that might be things like evaluation tools, you might need some calculators, you might need to then talk about products and features more specifically when people are looking to compare and contrast. So you need to plan content and have a journey on the website that is ready for all of those stages. So it's not just a case of doing a campaign whereby we know that we've come up with something fresh here, something that's differentiated, something that drives an editorial audience. Great if it attracts new people to you, that's wonderful, but you need to have in place a website that's going to enable you to push those people down that buyer journey. Okay. The point in the center here as well, do you have a choice? Well, it's kind of a tough question to ask, isn't it? And are you really up for it is the other question. Because it does mean that there will have to be some interesting conversations organisationally, particularly when you're working in an international team, because people like doing what they're doing. They like being autonomous for their country. They don't necessarily want to, share access to social media. So there are kind of organisational and operational challenges that need to be addressed. Social media is another really essential part of having a good content marketing strategy in place. And it never ceases to surprise me anymore that often is not the case for even very well-known high-profile brands. We've all kind of grown up in this era whereby social media is something that we all know that we need to do. So we'll get that Twitter feed live and we'll brand it up and we'll make sure that we've got a continuous stream of information out there. And that's kind of stage one. But content marketing requires that social organisation actually is being activated to do lead generation. It needs a purpose. And the content for social very often is we just want to make sure that we're engaging our audience. And that's great, but actually you should be trying to push that audience into a nurture program, getting them to register on your website. And having a coherent social strategy is a really important part of content marketing. Number 5, it's hard to buy content marketing. It's really hard. And agencies aren't making that easy. Pretty much every agency in London says, yep, We do content marketing. We do content. We do marketing. Duh. Do you want to buy some? So I appreciate that, if you're looking to kind of really learn, really engage, really adopt a content-driven strategy, that's not an easy thing to do because you know that you probably need some expertise. Everybody wants to be an expert that wants to help you because every agency knows that this is where the market is going, that it is what's required. So we all want a piece of that. Wouldn't that be nice? Thank you very much. So what advice do we have for how do you go about navigating that? So who should you listen to? The content's quite a tricky thing in that you'll have agencies, probably digital, social, PR, they're all creating content. They're all being effective at delivering that content, at measuring it, at adding value, at measuring their ROI. But I bet you none of it is connected. I bet you those campaigns are very rarely connected all the way through from the top of the funnel down to the bottom, and that content is being optimized, repackaged, reformatted so that it's relevant for all those different stages of the buyer journey. That's really the hard bit. That's the bit that you should be asking your agency about. And the other thing that, if you really understand what content marketing is, it's not about selling. It's about helping people to buy. Bear that in mind. If your agency is saying, yeah, we do that, we can help you, here's what we do, allow me to pitch you for 20 minutes, that's probably not the right approach. If people are looking to sell it to you, that's because they're not giving you the information to enable you to really understand it and make your own decisions. So the principles of content marketing are, you shouldn't be trying to sell it. So find an agency that isn't pitching you. Find an agency that's trying to inform you, that's trying to educate you. That's it. It was short, I know. But thank you. So are there any questions, or is everyone really keen to get out of here? Yes? You need the mic.
Tracking tools. The tracking tools you were talking about.
The tracking tools?
That's right.
Yeah.
Are they your proprietary software, or can they be linked to Google Analytics?
Yeah.
Everything can be.
Yeah. You don't have to spend a lot of money on marketing automation.
Okay.
And that may be a controversial viewpoint, considering there's quite a few sponsors here that are selling that. Google Analytics does a lot of the work. But obviously the limitation is that it's only from a volume point of view. You can use it to test content. It can certainly tell you which content and formats and positions on web pages is actually working. And that's a really good way to get a better idea of how do you define your content strategy. Are you doing the right things in terms of the development of the content?
You think that would suffice?
No, I don't think it suffices.
Right.
I think it's part of it. I think it depends obviously on your budget, because if you do have enough budget to think about a more comprehensive marketing automation platform, then obviously it can do some of this work for you. So Marketo and Eloqua, for example, where everything is kind of programmed in, lovely, that's great. The alternatives are, there are free social tracking tools. You can see exactly what inbound links are coming in. We can almost connect the dots with Google about where that link came from and then what did they do on the site. But the missing link really is the personalization part. So once we've got Google tracking, how do we then understand who those people are? And that's when you've got some decisions to make. So if it's really important to you to know exactly who the individual is, then you probably need to look at something like HubSpot or Eloqua or Marketo. But things like lead forensics, for example, you can integrate that just with a bit of scripting into Google Analytics. And it will then tell you, obviously, the organization. Match that back to your CRM, see if there's anyone on your database that you can already connect with. So it's not a perfect picture, but there are ways around not spending £250,000 on marketing automation, which actually should have been challenge number 6, because that comes up a lot as well. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions? No? All good? Great.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.